Welcome back, everybody. These are the films that we loved of 1953. These are the best films, the classics, the blockbusters, the thrillers, the horrors, the war, the romance, the comedies. These are all the best films that we loved of 1953. I'm Tony, you're watching Yesteryear, and today, let's check out these films. The Story of Three Loves. Drama, fantasy, and music. An anthology film consisting of three very different stories about love set in Europe and told in flashback. Next up we have is Scared Stiff. The comedy duo of Martin and Lewis. Comedy, horror, and musical. Fleeing a murder charge, a busboy and a nightclub singer wind up on a spooky Caribbean island inherited by a young woman. Scared Stiff. Next up we have is the classic, A Blueprint for Murder, crime, drama, and thriller. Whitney Cameron suspects his sister-in-law has poisoned her brother and niece, but without proof, how does she prevent the murder of his nephew? A Blueprint for Murder. Next up we have is A Lion is in the Streets. A charismatic peddler from the bayous finds his true calling in politics. Is he a demagogue in the making? A Lion is in the Streets. Drama, romance, and thriller. Next up we have is the classic, A Slight Case of Larceny. Comedy and crime. Two army buddies down on their luck open up a gas station and get involved in price war in a somewhat underhanded way. A Slight Case of Larceny. Abbott and Costello Go to Mars. Comedy, family, and fantasy. Two workmen accidentally launch a space rocket intended for Mars and find mistakenly landing in New Orleans, just the beginning of their misadventures. I love Abbott and Costello. They were the best comedic duo of the 40s and 50s. Act of Love. Drama, war, and romance. A former soldier on a holiday in the French Riviera recalls his time in France during World War II and his love for a French peasant woman. Act of Love. All Ashore. Comedy and musical. Three sailors finally get some shore leave and go in search of fun and girls. Comedy and musical. All Ashore. This movie is a scorcher. You'll love All Ashore. If you want to laugh, check out this movie. If you're scary and want some horror films, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Horror and sci-fi. A ferocious dinosaur awakened by an Arctic atomic test terrorizes the North Atlantic and ultimately New York City. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Beat the Devil. Action, adventure, and comedy. On their way to Africa are a group of rogues who hope to get rich there, and a seemingly innocent British couple. Beat the Devil. Blowing Wild. Action, adventure, and drama. In South America, after Jeff Dawson and Dutch Peterson's oil rigs are dynamited by local bandits, the two partners resort to risky transportation of nitroglycerin to raise money. Blowing Wild. Calamity Jane. Musical, romance, and western. The story of Calamity Jane, her saloon, and her romance with Wild Bill Hickok. Calamity Jane will not disappoint. If you love great movies, check out Calamity Jane. Call Me Madam. Comedy, musical, and romance. Washington hostess Sally Adams becomes a Truman-era U.S. ambassador to a European Grand Duchy. Call Me Madam. Captain John Smith and Pocahontas. Drama, history, and romance. Captain John Smith overcomes the treachery of some of his men and resentment of the local Native Americans to establish the colony of Jamestown. Captain John Smith and Pocahontas. Charade. comedy, drama, and mystery. A husband and wife discuss 3 incidents that occurred in various situations. Charade. If you like comedy and drama, you will not be disappointed. Charade. Dangerous When Wet. Animation, comedy, and musical. With her promoter, trainer, and family in tow, Katie Higgins swims her way from the Arkansas Ozarks to foggy London and the English Channel. Dangerous When Wet. Dream Life. Comedy and romance. A business tycoon decides to wed a Middle Eastern princess whose customs dictate their pair must live apart for several months before marrying. Dream Life, featuring Cary Grant. Oh, I love Cary Grant. Easy to Love. Comedy, musical, and romance. An aquatic performer tries to attract the man she loves. Esther Williams, Van Johnson, and Tony Martin. Easy to Love. This movie is funny and it's awesome. The movies are getting better. Each decade, the movies are getting better. Escape from Fort Bravo. Drama, romance, and western. During the Civil War, a group of Confederates escaped from the Union POW camp at Fort Bravo, but has to contend with the desert. Drama, romance, and western. Escape from Fort Bravo. Fair Wind to Java. Action, adventure, and drama. In 1883, an American merchant ship's captain is searching for a treasure in diamonds from a sunken Dutch ship in the vicinity of a volcanic island in the Dutch East Indies. Fair Wind to Java. Forever Female. Comedy. An aging actress refuses to admit she is too old to play the ingenuine role anymore. Forever Female. Ginger Rogers and William Holden. This movie is a gem. The Five Fingers of Dr. T. The Five Fingers of Dr. T. Family, fantasy, and music. A young boy dreams that he is in an imaginary world where, assisted by his family's plumber, he must save other piano-playing kids like himself from the dungeons of his dictatorial piano. The 5,000 Fingers. Four-Sided Triangle. Bill and Robin, helped by their childhood friend, Lena, develop a reproducer which can exactly duplicate any object. Four-Sided Triangle. Romance and sci-fi. From Here to Eternity, a classic. Drama, romance, and war. At a U.S. Army base in 1941, Hawaii, a private is cruelly punished for not boxing on his unit's team, while his commanding officer's wife and top aide begin a tentative affair. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, featuring Marilyn Monroe. Comedy, musical, and romance. Showgirls Lorelai and Dorothy travel to Paris, pursued by a private detective hired by the suspicious father of Lorelai's fiancé. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Girl on the Run. Police investigate a murder that occurred in a burlesque theater. Girl on the Run. Crime, mystery, and thriller. You'll love Girl on the Run. Next up you have is a true classic, one for the ages. It's called The Glenn Miller Story. Biography, drama, and music. Biography of band leader Glenn Miller, from his beginnings to his death over the English Channel in December 1944. Picture it, 1944. The Glenn Miller Story. Gun Fury. Action, adventure, and crime. In Arizona, Frank Slayton's gang robs a stagecoach and kidnaps Ben Warren's fiancée, prompting Warren to pursue Slayton. Gun Fury. Next up we have is Here Come the Girls. Comedy and musical, featuring Bob Hope, Martin Arlene, and doll Rosemary Clooney. A clumsy, full of himself chorus boy gets a chance at Broadway stardom when he's a stand-in for a leading actor threatened by an infamous killer. Houdini. I love Houdini and Tony Curtis. And Janet Leigh produced Jamie Lee Curtis. From his beginnings as a wild man carnival act to the internationally famous feat of escaping from a locked trunk in an ice-jammed river, the Great Houdini. House of Wax, horror and thriller. An associate burns down a wax museum with the owner inside, but he survives only to become vengeful and murderous. House of Wax. This movie is a scorcher. You like jump scares? You'll love House of Wax. How to Marry a Millionaire. Comedy, drama, and romance. 3 women set out to find eligible millionaires to marry, but find true love in the process. This is such a great movie. You'll love it. Next up we have is the classic I Confess. Crime, drama, and thriller. A priest who comes under suspicion for murder cannot clear his name without breaking the seal of the confessional. I Confess. Crime, drama, and thriller. Montgomery Clift and Ann Baxter. Invaders from Mars. Horror, sci-fi, and thriller. A young boy learns that space aliens are taking over the minds of Earthlings. This movie is scary and it's a scorcher. You'll love Invaders from Mars. Who doesn't like horror movies and alien outer space movies? It Came from Outer Space. See where we're going here? See where we're going in the 50s? A spaceship from another world crashes in the Arizona desert, and only an amateur stargazer and a schoolteacher suspect alien influence, and the local townsfolk begin to act strangely. It Came from Outer Space. The Juggler. Drama, history, and war. Featuring Kirk Douglas. In 1949, former concentration camp inmate and Berlin native Hans Mueller immigrates to Israel where, due to psychological problems, he can't adjust to peacetime life. Julius Caesar. Drama and history. The growing ambition of Julius Caesar is a source of major concern to his close friends Brutus. Drama, history. This movie is a classic and it is a gem. Check out Julius Caesar. Next up we have is Kiss Me Kate. Comedy, musical, and romance. An ex-husband and wife team star in a musical version of The Taming of the Shrew. Offstage, the production is troublesome, with ex-lovers, quarrels, and 2 gangsters looking for money. Kiss Me Kate. Limelight. Drama, musical, and romance. A fading comedian and suicidally despondent ballet dancer must look to each other to find purpose and hope in their lives. Limelight. Charlie Chaplin was a genius in this movie. You like Charlie Chaplin? You'll love Limelight. The Earrings of Madame De. When an aristocratic woman known only as Madame De sells a pair of earrings given to her by her husband in order to pay some debts, she sets off a chain reaction of financial mishap. The Earrings of Madame De. Man in the Attic. After an enigmatic self-described pathologist rents the attic room of a Victorian house, his landlady begins to suspect her lodger is Jack the Ripper. Man in the Attic. This movie's a scorcher. You'll love it. Meet Me at the Fair. Musical. In 1904, Doc Tilby, medicine show huckster and champion tall tale teller, gives a ride to a young boy escaped from an orphanage where bad conditions and bad things happen. Meet Me at the Fair. Mogambo. Adventure, drama, and romance. On a Kenyan safari, white hunter Victor Marswell has a love triangle with seductive American socialite Eloise Kelly and anthropologist Donald Nordsley, cheating wife Linda. Mogambo. Clark Gable, Ava Gardner. Money from Home, featuring Martin and Lewis. Comedy, musical, and romance. When Herman promises the mob to fix a racing horse in order to pay off his debts, he selects his veterinarian cousin as a patsy to help him, but things go awry. The Moon is Blue. Comedy and romance. 2 aging playboys are both after the same attractive young woman, but she fends them off by claiming that she plans to remain a virgin until the wedding night. The moon is blue. Never wave at a whack. Adventure, comedy, and romance. A shallow society matron is urged by her senator father to join the Women's Army Corps. Never wave at a whack. This movie is funny and hilarious. You want to laugh? This movie does not disappoint. Never Let Me Go. Adventure, drama, and romance. An American reporter stationed in post-war Moscow marries a ballet dancer, but their relationship is threatened by the country's political brutality. Never Let Me Go. Clark Gable and Gene Tierney. Niagara. Thriller and mystery. As two couples are visiting Niagara Falls, tensions between one wife and her husband reach the level of murder. Niagara. Marilyn Monroe in Niagara. Off Limits. Comedy. Two army buddies fall in love with the same nightclub singer. Off Limits. Featuring the legendary Bob Hope, Mickey Rooney. We love Mickey Rooney and we love Bob Hope. Together, this movie is exquisite. It's a classic. Peter Pan. Animation, adventure, and family. Wendy and her brothers are whisked away to the magical world of Neverland with the hero of their stories, Peter Pan. If you like fantasy and family movies, Peter Pan will not disappoint. An animation, adventure, and family. Pickup on South Street. Crime, mystery, and thriller. A pickpocket unwittingly lifts a message destined for enemy agents and becomes a target for a communist spy ring. Pickup on South Street. If you love mystery and intrigue, you'll love this movie. It Happens Every Thursday. Comedy and drama. A New York couple takes over a small-town newspaper. Loretta Young and John Forsythe. What a team, what a duo. This movie has great dialogue, great comedy, and romance. Check out It Happens Every Thursday. South Sea Woman. Action, adventure, and comedy. AWOL Marine Sergeant Jim O'Hearn is court-martialed for a variety of offenses that carry 143 years in the stockade. South Sea Woman. Action, adventure, and comedy. Private Eyes. Action, adventure, and comedy. After a punch in the nose, Satch gains the ability to read minds. So Slip and the gang take on a detective agency to try crashing in on Satch's new power. Private Eyes. This movie is funny and awesome. Return to Paradise. Adventure, drama, and romance. An American drifter comes to a remote Polynesian island controlled by a puritanical missionary and turns the social life of the island upside down. Return to Paradise. Featuring Gary Cooper. Roman Holiday. Comedy and romance. A board and shelter princess escapes her guardian and falls in love with an American newsman in Rome. Gregory Peck, Audrey Hepburn in Roman Holiday. Sailor of the King. Also known as Single-Handed. Action, drama, and romance. In 1940, Canadian sailor Andrew Brown is prisoner on a battle-damaged German raider, and he plans to delay the raider's at-sea repairs until a British naval task force can destroy it. The Wages of Fear. Adventure, drama, and thriller. In a decrepit South American village, 4 men are hired to transport an urgent nitroglycerin shipment without the equipment that would make it safe. The Wages of Fear. Next up we have a Salome. Drama and history. After her banishment from Rome, Jewish Princess Salome returns to a Roman-ruled native land of Galilee, where Prophet John the Baptist preaches against Solomon's parents. Salome. Shane. This movie is awesome. 5 out of 5. Drama, western. A weary gunfighter in the 1880s, Wyoming begins to envision a quieter life after befriending a homestead family with a young son who idolizes him, but a smoldering range war forces him to act. Summer with Monica. Drama and romance. A pair of teenagers meet one summer day, start a reckless affair, and abandon their families to be with one another. Summer with Monica. This movie is awesome. Check it out. Another classic, Stalag 17, featuring the legendary William Holden. Comedy, drama, and war. After 2 Americans are killed while escaping from a German POW camp in World War II, the barracks black marketer J.J. Sefton is suspected of being an informer. Stalag 17 is 5 out of 5. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. A ferocious dinosaur awakened by an Arctic atomic test terrorizes the North Atlantic and ultimately New York City. The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms is scary and a lot of jump scares. The Caddy with Martin and Lewis. Comedy, musical, and sport. Although girlfriend golfer Harvey Miller is too nervous to golf in public tournaments, he acts as coach and caddy for friend Joe Anthony. The Caddy is a classic comedy of the 50s. The Magnetic Monster. Horror and sci-fi and thriller. The Office of Scientific Investigation sends AMEN agents to investigate reports of unusual magnetic activity in various communities. The Magnetic Monster will not disappoint with jump scares and kills. The Naked Jungle. Adventure, drama, and thriller. The lenient South American cocoa plantation is threatened by a 2-mile wide, 20-mile long column of army ants. The Naked Jungle. Charlton Heston is exquisite. If you love ants and creatures, you'll love The Naked Jungle. The Stranger Wore a Gun. Drama, war, and western. A former spy moves to Arizona to join a gold robbery, but when he gets there, he decides that it's not for him and tries to change his life. The Stranger Wore a Gun. Randolph Scott is exquisite in this film. The Bandwagon. Comedy, musical, and romance. A pretentiously artistic director is hired for a new Broadway musical and changes it beyond recognition. The Bandwagon will not disappoint. Next up we have is the classic, The Big Heat. Crime, thriller, and mystery. Tough cop Dave Banyan takes on a politically powerful crime syndicate, featuring Glenn Ford. If you like Glenn Ford, crime, drama, and mystery, you'll love The Big Heat. One of the best movies of the era, The Clown. Red Skelton and Tim Considine. Once a famous Ziegfeld star, Dodo Delwyn is reduced to playing clowns in burlesque and amusement parks as a result of his drinking. His son, Little Dink, idolizes him, but his alcoholism takes a toll. The Clown. The Golden Blade. Adventure. Basra merchant Harun Rashid avenges his father's murder, an adventure set in ancient Baghdad and inspired from the Arabic fairy tales of 1001 Nights. The Golden Blade will not disappoint, featuring Rock Hudson. The Master of Ballantrae. Action, adventure, and history. 2 noble Scottish brothers deliberately take opposite sides when mighty Prince Charlie returns to claim the throne of Scotland in order to preserve the family fortune. The Naked Spur. A bounty hunter trying to bring a murderer to justice is forced to accept the help of 2 less than trustworthy strangers. Drama, thriller, and western. The Naked Spur will not disappoint. Next up we have is The Robe. Drama, history, and romance. And CinemaScope was huge back in 1953. In the Roman province of Judea during the 1st century, Roman tribune Marcellus Gallio is ordered to crucify Jesus of Nazareth. The Robe. The War of the Worlds, one of the scariest movies of the 50s. Action, sci-fi, thriller, and horror. A small town in California is attacked by Martians, beginning a worldwide invasion. War of the Worlds is a 5 out of 5 for its time. The Titfield Thunderbolt comedy. Volunteers take over their local new passenger train service when the government announces its closure. The Titfield Thunderbolt. Stanley Holloway, George Pelf, and Naughton Wayne comedy. Torch Song. Drama, music, and romance. A tough but unhappy Broadway star reevaluates her life when she crosses paths with a blind pianist. The Torch Song, featuring Joan Crawford. Treasure of the Golden Condor. Adventure. In the 18th century France, Jean-Paul, who was cheated out of his inheritance, land, and titles by his uncle, decides to go to Guatemala in search of famed Mayan treasure. Next up we have is Vice Squad. Crime, drama, mystery, and thriller. Police procedural film following a few cases assigned to LAPD Captain of Detectives Barney Barnaby. Vice Squad. Edward G. Robinson is exquisite in this film. Vicky. Crime, drama, mystery. The untimely murder of a New York glamour girl sparks an investigation with an emotionally driven detective at the helm. Vicky. Jeannie Crane and Jean Peters. One of the best movies of 1953 is The Wild One, featuring Marlon Brando. Crime, drama, and romance. Two rival motorcycle gangs terrorize a small town after one of their leaders is thrown in jail. The Wild One. Next up we have is Appointment in Honduras. Adventure, crime, and thriller. A wealthy American couple are hostages on an arduous jungle journey. Glenn Ford and Ann Sheridan in Appointment in Honduras. You'll love this movie. You'll love it. Next up we have is Arrowhead. Drama, romance, and western. Chief of Scouts Ed Bannon works for the U.S. Army at Fort Clark, Texas, and he dreams of aiding and bringing peace to the region, despite opposition from both the Army and the Apaches. Arrowhead will not disappoint. By the Light of the Silvery Moon. Comedy, family, and musical. Marjorie Winfield's engagement to Bill Sherman, who has just arrived home from fighting in World War I, serves as the backdrop for the trials and tribulations of her family. By the Light of the Silvery Moon. City That Never Sleeps. Crime, drama, and mystery. Johnny Kelly, who plans on resigning from the police force and leaving his wife the next day, has a very eventful last night on duty. City That Never Sleeps. Dangerous Crossing. Drama, mystery, and thriller. When a beautiful bride boards an ocean liner with her new husband, he goes into hiding, and she becomes the target of a murder conspiracy. Dangerous Crossing. The Girl Who Had Everything. Romance and drama. Attorney's daughter falls for one of his gangster's clients. Elizabeth Taylor, Fernando Lamas, and William Powell star in The Girl Who Had Everything. You'll love this film. You'll love it. Hondo. One of the greatest Western movies. Drama, romance, and war. Hondo. Army dispatch writer Hondo Lane discovers a woman, a young son, living in the midst of wearing Apaches and becoming their protector. Hondo. Next up we have is the classic Island in the Sky, featuring you-know-who, John Wayne. Adventure and drama. A C-47 transport plane, named the Corsair, makes a forced landing in the frozen wastes of Quebec, and the plane's pilot, Captain Dooley, must keep his men alive in deadly conditions. Island in the Sky. Law and Order. Drama and western. Frame Johnson already cleaned up Tombstone and hopes to settle down near Cottonwood, but a marshal's work is never done. Law and Order. Next up we have is the classic movie, Let's Do It Again. Comedy and musical. In this 1953 musical remake of The Awful Truth, Wyman is married to a womanizing composer, Milan, and sets out to give him some of his own medicine. Let's Do It Again. Malta Story. Drama, History, and War. In 1942, and the island of Malta is battling for survival. The threat of invasion by Axis forces is increasing as air raids wear down its defense. Malta Story. This movie is exquisite. Man on a Tightrope. Drama and thriller. A Czech circus owner, clown, and his entire troupe employ a daring stratagem in order to escape en masse from behind the Iron Curtain. Man on a Tightrope will not disappoint. The Man Between. Crime, drama, and thriller. In post-World War II Berlin, when travel to the east was still possible, the sister of a British officer from West Berlin is abducted by communist agents and taken into Soviet Union. The Man Between. We go to Monte Carlo. When a measles epidemic forces the temporary closing of a child care center, the son of a film star and her estranged husband, a concert pianist, is mistakenly delivered to a touring musician. We go to Monte Carlo. Pickup on South Street. A pickpocket unwittingly lifts a message destined for enemy agents and becomes a target for communist spy ring. Crime, mystery, and thriller. Pickup on South Street. Next up we have is Pony Express. Drama, history, and romance. Buffalo Bill and Wild Bill Hickok work to establish the Pony Express and fight Indians and California separatists who seek to destroy it. Pony Express. Next up we have is Sea Devils. Action, adventure, and drama. Gillette fisherman smuggler is in jail and is offered a pardon if he undertakes a mission to sail to France to rescue Drusette, an English agent whose cover has been blown. Sea Devils, featuring Rock Hudson and Yvonne DiCarlo. Seminole, featuring Rock Hudson and Barbara Ale. Adventure Western. A cavalry lieutenant recounts his efforts to make peace with the Seminole Indian tribe under an evil major. Next up we have is The Man from the Alamo. Western. During the Alamo siege, John Stroud is sent to Oxbow to protect the townsfolk, but following a massacre, he infiltrates Jess Wade's gang of turncoat renegades supporting the Mexicans. The Man from the Alamo. Return to Paradise. Adventure, drama, and romance. An American drifter comes to a remote Polynesian island controlled by a puritanical missionary and turns the social life of the island upside down. Adventure, drama, and romance. The Bigamist. Drama and mystery. A man secretly married to two women feels the pressure of his deceit. The Bigamist. Joan Fontaine and Ida Lupino. And Edmund O'Brien. The Farmer Takes a Wife. Comedy, musical, and romance. A romantic triangle develops on Erie Canal boats in 1850. The Farmer Takes a Wife will not disappoint. If you like to laugh, sing and dance, and like romance, you'll love this movie. Next up we have is The Big Heat. Tough cop Dave Mannion takes on a politically powerful crime syndicate. Featuring Glenn Ford. The Big Heat will not disappoint. If you like murder, mystery, intrigue, check out The Big Heat. Next up we have is the classic The Desert Rats. Action, adventure, and drama. Richard Burton plays a Scottish army officer, but in charge of a disparate band of Anzac troops on the perimeter of Tobruk, with the German army doing their best to dislodge them. The French Line, JR in 3D, comedy musical romance. When her fiancé leaves her, an oil heiress takes a cruise incognito in order to find a man who will love her for herself and not for her money. Next up we have is The Mississippi Gambler, romance and western. In 1854, Mississippi honest riverboat card gambler Mark Fallon wins young Lauren's diamond necklace, a family heirloom which in the end will bring him happiness and tragedy alike. The President's Lady, biography and drama. The story of President Andrew Jackson from his early years. The film begins when he meets Rachel Donaldson Robards. The President's Lady, biography and drama. Next up we have is the classic Paratrooper, also known as the Red Beret, drama and war. In 1940, an American claiming to be a Canadian volunteers for the British Army's Paratroop School. Drama and war, Paratrooper, or the Red Beret. The Redhead from Wyoming, western. In Wyoming, Sweetwater Town Sheriff Stan Blaine finds himself in the middle of a range war between greedy cattle barons and newcomer settlers who compete for public lands. The Redhead from Wyoming, beautiful, classy western. The Actress, biography, comedy, and drama. This is an account of real-life experience of actress playwright Ruth Gordon. The Actress. Next up we have is Thunder Bay. Shrimpers and oilmen clash after an ambitious wildcatter begins constructing an offshore oil rig. Thunder Bay, action adventure. Next up we have is the classic Titanic, drama, history, and romance. An unhappily married couple struggle to deal with their problems while on board the luxurious, ill-fated RMS Titanic. Starring Clifton Webb, Barbara Stanwyck, and Robert Wagner. Next up we have is Trouble Along the Way. John Wayne, Donna Reed, and Charles Coburn. Comedy, drama, and romance. An ex-football coach is hired by a small Catholic college to train his football team in the hopes of winning games and making money to save the school from bankruptcy. Walking my baby back home. World War II veteran Clarence forms a band with several other former GIs. Comedy and musical. Walking my baby back home. Next up we have is The Wildwood. Two rival motorcycle gangs terrorize a small town after one of their leaders is thrown in jail. Crime, drama, and romance. Those are the films, the best films of 1953. What films do you remember from this list that you enjoyed? Were there any movies you recognized, haven't seen? I've seen most of these. I would say I've probably seen like 95% of these movies. Also, if there's any movies that I left out, go ahead and leave them below in the comment section. Maybe we can touch upon it or talk about it. Alright, those were the films that we loved, the best movies of 1953. These were great actors, directors, screenplays, movies. It was all acting, it's all dialogue. That's why the movies in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, before blockbusters started coming out, making their way. This is pure Hollywood. This is the golden era of Hollywood. We're in 1953. Alright, I'm Tony. You're watching Yesteryear, and today, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.